All right, that was Tinker versus Tinker, but a Tinker setup that was fairly good at beating other Tinker setups.
Yeah, I mean, considering how common this setup has been, if you want to run a Tinker setup in this tournament, you need to be able to answer the question, how do I beat another Tinker? If you come up against one, what is our plan to beat it? Agony had a very clear plan. They were going to just wait for the jam, survive long enough, wait until they got the jams they needed, and they tried a couple of different ways of doing the jams. At first they tried jamming out the Proteus, trying to kill the Vengeance and just win on points from that. Didn't do the trick because they weren't damaging the Vengeance almost at all. So then they went for the jam off all of the cap transfers, and then just wear down the Proteus, and that did it.
Super cool stuff.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun match. The one thing we were talking about a little bit there was at the end when the Proteus was tanking, losing a little bit more every time, but it was still repping, and then all of a sudden the purple active rep bar vanished, and a second later Proteus just it disappeared. So something happened, like we said, Fozzie said maybe he burned out his reps, or maybe he finally was capped out because of the jams and all that. But either way, it was a very, very tense moment there. But
So what was it that made this setup special? Was it the Widows with the jams?
Yes, yeah, that's the difference between this and a lot of the other Dominic's teams that we've seen. It actually plays a lot like the Armor, I guess Meepo is what you would call it, team that Exodus brought, where they had a bunch of cruisers that had unbonus jams on them. Both of these have the same game plan, which is if you come up against another Tinker, you just survive long enough for your jams to eventually take hold and get the win that way.
This might be a setup that they want to go forward with. Is it easy to ban out? Can you replace the Dominics or Widow if one of them gets banned out, or?
Can't really replace the Widow.
yeah, maybe you can replace the Dominics, but I agree. I don't think you can replace the Widow. It's a tough call.
Right, you look like you might.
I was trying to think. I don't know. I mean, you could do it. You can be disruptive without ECM. Yeah, like could you run neutralizers instead as kind of the game plan and use different ships?
Yeah, they'd have a bit of trouble against a longer range team though. So you could do Tinkers with curses are one of the things we saw in previous years when people ran Tinkers quite a bit, was they throw a curse in, or sometimes a Rook. You can do it with a Rook. But I'd say probably if you weren't doing this, then one of these like armor drone ones might be your better bet, like we saw with Exodus.
So the curse used to be my favorite tournament ship. And it used to be pretty much a staple in some of our earlier tournaments. We haven't seen a single one so far, I think.
We have seen one here and there,
yeah. I think we saw at least one. You know, in the tournament, I guess part of the problem is a lot of the setups that might run it are running armor. Curse is not a very strong armor tanker. It's only got 4 low slots. And at the end of the day, it doesn't have a whole lot of hit points. So it's kind of flimsy for its role. And one of its major bonuses being tracking disruption. We've seen a lot of tracking disruptors used, but to invest that many points in a ship that has bonus tracking disruptors when you've seen a lot of missile comps, maybe not the best choice.
Yeah, it's a pretty drone and missile heavy meta, which definitely hurts the tracking disruptors. Yep. This is also the first tournament with the new Armageddon, which replaces the curse in a lot of ways.
Sure, it has much more neuting power, but the same
and a lot
range,
more EHP,
and
damage. And
The other big scale change for this tournament is that recons in general are just not nearly as popular. Like there used to be a lot of Rooks, there used to be a lot of Hugins.
Hugins as well.
And just in general, I think people are moving away. They're moving the support to Frigs. Like you don't have recon, instead you have Merlins or Incursuses or Mauluses, which can do other stuff too and are cheaper and just bring more slots.
What is the points on recons this tournament?
Recons are 14.
14. So yeah, that is a big points investment, especially when you compare it to Armageddon, which is 17. That's just huge.
So speaking of curses, the bans are in for the next match. Obsidian Front have banned out the Armageddon and the Scorpion Navy issue. Darkness of Despair have banned the Dominics and the Curse.
The curse.
Curse, it could be something if you bring in a Chronos or Vindy.
Oh.
Yeah,
You'd be worried about that. That's the curse does 2 things that they really don't want to see.
Geddon's already banned, so it's banned the curse. Maybe they're not afraid of Belgorns for whatever reason, but that is an interesting ban. It's probably not what I would have gone with.
Yeah, I think it's like if you're running a Tinker team and worried about the newts there, you'd be more concerned about the Balgorn. The place where you'd really want to worry about the curse would be if you're a cap-intensive turret boat, which is in this tournament really it's
ships.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get the match sheets for the 2 teams up. So Obsidian Front versus Darkness of Despair. Obsidian Front lost to the Initiative. Then they defeated Mildly Sober, Drunken Disorderly, and Pizza.
Darkness of Despair lost 2-1. That Punisher yesterday.
Oh my God, that fight. Yeah.
So they beat Quebec, Legion, MIF, and Darkside. Anyway, the match is ready. Who do you think is going to win Rise?
I'll go with the rest of the, I was going to say people will probably hate Darkness of Despair now because they almost beat Darkside, but not quite by screwing up. So I guess I'll hope they'll lose. I forget who the other team is. So
Obsidian Front.
non-Darkness of Despair.
I'm going to go with Obsidian Front. They've, like I said, they impressed me earlier today. Yesterday, I was very skeptical, even after their match. Today, they really show that they know something, and I have some confidence that they will do well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough one to call, but I'm going to go with Darkness of Despair.
All right, I think I might follow with Obsidian Front.